We're going to the moon, and today we're looking at those stashes. We're going to look at some stashes at running back, and this week, to make it a little bit different, we're going to look at some stash wide receivers. These guys on the deeper end of the waiver wire that you're looking to stash on the back end of your roster. Some of these guys popped up a little bit throughout the season. Some of these guys are deeper names. A lot of these guys are handcuff running backs. We do this every Thursday, so you can shuffle the chairs on your Titanic before you hit that iceberg when those injuries happen. Before we dig in, though, you need to click that subscribe button right now, because we're going deeper than anybody else when it comes to covering the waiver wire. We're helping you set your lineups by covering every single game and every single player on the weekly slate. And then we're deep diving every single player that's getting any sort of buzz, that's ramping up. That way you know the advanced analytics, the news, the facts, and data around them, so you can make your move. It's all on you. Click that button. Stop missing out. Ric Flair's watching. You do not want to disappoint Ric Flair. Starting off here with a handcuff running back with a lot of juice, Tank Bigsby. Tank Bigsby is a cuff, and he is a major cuff because Saquon, although it looks like he's coming back right and everything sounds good, we know about groin injuries, and we know about like how these running backs have been getting banged up a little bit, then all of a sudden later in the week they're out, or 2 weeks later they are out, or they played through the injury like Chuba Hubbard, then the next week they're out. So you want to be a week early, and you got to pick your spots when you want to be a week early too. You can't be a week early on everybody. But what we saw from him in week 8 was a very explosive running back. He looked more explosive than what he was at Auburn, played well behind that offensive line. He got 11% share of the opportunities in that backfield, crushed it in yards after contact, 6.53, and that's just on 15 rushing attempts, 127 yards on the season this year. You're looking at Tank Bigsby. He's got some gusto to his game. He is the cuff to Saquon. Luther Burden's back to practicing. He practiced in full yesterday. He's a guy sitting there on waivers. Some of you guys got him stashed and you're holding hard. This is a guy that was a 5-star recruit out of high school. He goes to Mizzou, and he doesn't land to his upside there. But you kind of see it in the advanced metrics. You see it on the field. It's also Missouri, so they weren't able to buoy his production. But he falls in the draft to the second round after being pegged as a first-rounder the whole time. Very talented prospect. Was banged up over the offseason. Missed a lot of training camp and mini camp. When he came back in training camp, instantly was balling out. Now they're trying to get him ramped up and good to go in this offense and trying to get him involved because he is a major playmaker. You're definitely seeing that in some of his usage, especially in that Cowboys game in week 3 where he went off on that big play. But Luther Burden, lottery ticket stash at a position at wide receiver where there's very few lottery ticket stashes. Blake Corum is the ultimate cuff. I probably say this about 2 to 3 times a week on here. If Kyren Williams goes down, he is the next man up. He has a 13% opportunity share. And last week, it was around the third quarter, somewhere around there in the second half. A lot of people were complaining because Kyren was out. They let Blake Corum cook a little bit. They let him get some extra work. And they don't normally do that. The last couple years, it was the Kyren Williams show. Kyren Williams' workload has reduced a little bit this season, allowing Blake Corum to show off what he can do, and he's been looking good. If Kyren goes down, and if that happens somewhere down the line, you're going to wish you had Blake Corum, and he's going to be a fab buster. He's going to command a lot of fab. Tory Horton. Now, he was a waiver wire get this week. Everybody talking him up after scoring those 2 touchdowns, but not so fast, my friend, says Lee Corso. Rashid Shaheed now enters the chat. So now we're back to lottery ticket dart throw status, or you just needing that little tidbit from me? I think we're just back to where we were, where we're scoring these random touchdowns and splashing here to there to the fairway. And I think he's a great gamble for the flex. If you want to use him, I think he's going to give you a 50-50 shot for 10, 11, 12, 13 to 15 fantasy points. And the other 50% is probably going to be around like 0 to 5. And that's just what you're going to have to roll with. Now, he's not going to be consistent unless he starts hitting to his prospect profile. But Jack Smith-Njigba, Rashid Shaheed played in this offense before with the offense coordinator, with how this offense is ran. He's got a history in it. I look for him to adapt rather quickly. Tory Horton, though, I think he's still good for fantasy, but really depends on your context and how deep your leagues are. Kyle Money Guy. DeAndre Swift's back at practicing. That bumps him down back to handcuff status. Now he's more like handcuff plus, though. Like, he might get more opportunities to where, like, he's going to cash out for you. Like, more of a 50-50 in the flex. Could be more than that. We got to see if he's earned more towards this team. He's earned more for us, but more with this coaching staff with DeAndre Swift, who is out, but who was running hot before he was out. Kyle Money Guy, though, like we said, getting touch after touch. Not a waiver wire get unless he got released, because everybody picked him up last week and everybody started him. Jack Bech. We're watching him tonight. I got things set up for a You Need video, and I believe he's going to be getting more workload and opportunity. The thing about the Raiders, they got a rough schedule on the back nine of the season. It's going to be hard for these wide receivers. You got Tucker, you got Lockett. Looks like Lockett will be running a lot of routes in this offense, but one of these rookies, Thornton or Bech, are going to get anointed. But when you're looking at these last few weeks, these last few games, Bech has been getting the routes and targets over Thornton. Thornton's been a healthy scratch. Thornton's a deep ball dandy, so he can cash in his own right, not sleeping on him. But Jack Bech, drafted in the second round, good ball skills, have some similarities, but I'm not going to say one for one as a comp to Jacoby Myers, as nasty at the catch point, can create some separation, but all in all, a fine technical route runner. I think you will start carving out a role, but we got to see if it's enough for fantasy, and these are some rough matchups. Tyler Allgeier is one of the top handcuffs in the league. That's just, it is what it is. He's a handcuff plus. He's getting a 15% opportunity share. He's more like a 50-50 gamble in the flex right now. Maybe more like a 40-60 with the 60% more towards the rate of busting. But still, for a handcuff, he's getting enough workload and opportunities where he can randomly splash. On top of that, if Bijan Robinson goes down, you're going to want Tyler Allgeier. You're just going to want Tyler Allgeier because you're going to be able to keep it moving. You don't have to fight the fab. Now, if he's on waivers and Bijan goes down soon, and if that happens, especially in the fantasy playoffs, and you don't have him, you might be out of luck on a running back. There's no running backs on the waiver wire, really. There's no running backs there. Like, you're just hoping one scores when you pick one up if you got to start them. There's no running backs there. And this is a good time of the year. We said this last year and the year before that. Once you approach those double-digit weeks, you may want to get that insurance policy in place if you got a stud running back. Trey Harris, running routes, getting opportunities. He is the handcuff wide receiver in this offense, especially for QJ. Might get more routes too if Keenan goes down. Keandre Lambert-Smith as well would be getting some looks here. Looked good in training camp, 4.3 speed, led Penn State in targets over Tyler Warren, led Auburn in targets when he got there for one season over some 5-star prospects. Trey Harris, so right now, all indicators says he's the next man up. Recent routes ran, recent targets. Since week 6, we've been getting steady volume and targets, 5, 2, 2, and 2. Not much, but considering you got a 3-headed monster here with Ladd McConkey, QJ, and Keenan, something to pay attention if the injury bug bites. Brashard Smith. The workload in terms of targets decreased over the last 2 weeks, but the snap share went up, but he got the snap share by default due to Isaiah Pacheco being out. That's something to note. 1.96 yards after contact per attempt. You're seeing that. The routes ran. It's volatile week to week. The last 2 weeks it's kind of decreased. Also, sticky game script there with the Bills. Now we're on bye. You can't use them on bye. And now you got Denver, the Saints, and Dallas. He's a long-term forecast, not a short-term forecast. So if you're looking for production now, he's not your guy. If you're looking for a hodl and hold, just in case he gets anointed, and your best guess would be after the bye and after some time after the bye. So you're going to have to watch his usage. So that's something to pay attention to. Pacheco and Hunt hasn't really been killing it this year. They're just around 4 yards per carry. So maybe after some more time of inefficiencies, we can see Brashard Smith start getting some work. Maybe not. Maybe it's for 2026. He is a late round pick. Roman Wilson. Since the bye here, 1 target, 2, 5, and 2, getting work in the passing game. This is a prospect that killed it at the Senior Bowl, has good speed, can get it downfield, and an offense that gets in some of these game scripts where they got to push it a bit. You got the Bengals coming up. He's more of a play that you're watching. If you're in a deeper league, you're hurting that bad at wide receiver to where you got to look this far. Yes, but he's also a prospect here that has shown on the field, also in his prospect profile, that he can do something, averaging about 11.5 routes per game. Nothing to trust, nothing to look at for 12-man leagues unless something starts to fire. Bhayshul Tuten is a handcuff that you want to monitor. He's a top-tier handcuff. If ETN goes down, he's going to get a bulk of that workload. I think LaQuint Allen would be also a pickup here. But that 4.3 speed, the electricity, a lot of people are pegging on him to start getting more touches at the back nine of the season. Travis Etienne has cooled off a good bit, so that could potentially happen. They're looking to make a push for the playoffs here in the back nine of the season. They start off the season rather hot. They had some iffy games here of late, but you're looking at Bhayshul Tuten here. 4.3 speed, nasty in the open field, has a lot of upside. Caleb Johnson is the master of upside here. Not getting work on this team. Arthur Smith loves dependability. He loves the tight end, and he loves messing with running backs. He even messed with Bijan Robinson. And I told you this going into the season. I did a couple you need videos on Caleb Johnson. I actually did one on Jalen Warren, and I did one on Kenneth Gainwell. And I said this in every single one of these videos, plus his camp videos. I would expect him to have a very slow ramp up in this offense due to that. And on top of that, only 62 pass blocking reps during his collegiate career. So he needs time, and he needs time to develop, and he's very opportune in pass protection. After all, he was the whole offense. The leading wide receiver at Iowa had 46 targets. He had 20-some targets. He was the main squeeze in that offense. So other things he's got to polish up. He's more of a play for next year. But if injuries hit to Warren, Gainwell, or even both, then he's going to be a big splash. Brian Robinson, huge cut for Christian McCaffrey, should be rostered in most leagues. You're also seeing his roster rate decrease by the week due to bye weeks and injuries. That being said, if he's there, you got Christian McCaffrey, you got to wrap it up. Manny Wilson is the cuff to Josh Jacobs. He's developing into a cuff plus here, where he will hit about once every 3.5 games for you for the flex, a dart throw gamble. Nothing like you're going to call as a start any week, but a dart throw gamble. You know what I'm talking about. But Manny Wilson will get the workload and opportunities if Josh Jacobs goes down. And as we get deeper into the season, too, if a player's a little bit banged up, they're more likely not to go forward with that game if their team's way out of the picture for the playoffs, or if their spot's locked in to the point where even if they win the game, it doesn't matter. So they're going to save themselves for the playoffs. That is something you got to pay attention to right now when you can scoop these guys up for free. Ollie Gordon as well. We know the Dolphins are going to be out. So if HN's banged up 5 weeks from now or whatever it is, I'm not doing the math on weeks for your fantasy football playoffs, but you know what I'm talking about. Ollie Gordon would be the next man up. Got the queue right now, but we're not expecting him to fire up this week for our lineups anyways. Upside plays. You're looking at Jalen Wright as well, shotgun running back, kind of like an Isaac Garando, Keaton Mitchell, if they got to roll that direction. Now we're looking at the Saints. We do not want to collect Saints. We see how bad Chuck is. Audric Estime is a big-time prospect out of Notre Dame. Very productive there. Very good size to him with good wiggle for his size. That could command more opportunities. Devin, Neal, good prospect profile out of Kansas. Alvin Kamara, I guarantee you he's not happy. So if he's banged up and he doesn't want to push it, he ain't going to push it. So you need to be watching and monitoring this back. Those are the deep stashes we're looking at today. We're looking at some handcuffs. We're looking at some wide receivers. We're looking at some upside plays. Let me know who you're stashing in the comments below. We usually go deeper than this, but we're also to the part of the season where we got to get our ducks aligned for the playoffs. And also some of these speculations are starting to show themselves a little bit more. So we're just really waiting for injuries. Let me know who you're stashing, though. I want to hear about that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.